never asked him no question like that. He just made you into what he wanted you to be. If your slave master was a Protestant, okay, then you were a Protestant. But you couldn't worship with him. Your church was in the field somewhere. And he is the one that made you a preacher. And you had to preach what pleased him. That's pretty rough stuff. No wonder you still in bad shape. Because if you really knew Jesus, just the true knowledge of Jesus would free you and start you on the road to that which Jesus became. You have the right name, all right enough, and you have fallen in love with the man based on the beauty of the man that you read in the scriptures. But the enemy took the name and the man and painted him white and gave him to you. And everywhere that he gave you his image, the darker people that believe are suffering and are absolutely under the tutelage and mastery of the European white man. You can't deny that. And right now, as a Christian, you are not equal to your European white Christian brother. In fact, right now, you are trying to get your rights from your so-called white Christian brother.
Still in 2025. We're still doing this in 2025.
What God intends for every human being, which is freedom, justice, and equality. So the coming of God, the coming of the Mahdi, the coming of the Messiah, whom Allah would make a messenger to the children of Israel. That's a great event. And whether you want to believe it or not, this Bible, from one cover to the other, is all talking about you.
It's all talking about you. It's all about you, and you don't really fully know that. But when you start putting this puzzle together, it all comes together. They gonna destroy you with fire from war. Because you already considered malware. You don't know the truth about anything, because all they ever told you was a bunch of lies. And that's the truth.
The coming of the Messiah, whom Allah would make a messenger to the children of Israel. That's a great event. And whether you want to believe it or not, this Bible, from one cover to the other, is all talking about you. And when you understand that you are the major people of the book, when you read about Israel going into bondage, who do you think that is? Everywhere you read of a slave and a slave master in the past, you're reading a prophetic picture of yourself and your relationship to the government of America and the white people of the world.
Tell the truth.
Now, some would like to call this hate teaching. We don't have any time for that.
We don't have time for that. We don't have time for no hate teaching.
You hate somebody.
If you hate the truth, and the truth is what sets you free, then you sound like you on the dark side. You just stay on over there on your dark side. We don't have no time for you, okay? That's the bottom line. We don't have no damn time for your damn dog shit.
That's a great event. This Bible, from one cover to the other, is all talking about you.
About you.
And when you understand that you are the major people of the book. When you read about Israel going into bondage, who do you think that is?
It's you.
Everywhere you read of a slave and a slave master in the past, you're reading a prophetic picture of yourself and your relationship to the government of America and the white people of the world.
Think of government, the government, G-O-D, God, government of deception. They tell you a bunch of damn lies. That's what it is. And I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, because those of us who know the Lord, we know him as what they taught us. We know him to be Jesus, because that's what we were taught. But that's not his name. Okay? I wasn't talking about not praising the Lord or doing away with God. Absolutely not. And I think you know that. You just wanted to be the devil yourselves. But regardless, truth is the truth. It ain't but one way to the truth.
And when you understand that you are the major people of the book, when you read about Israel going into bondage, who do you think that is? Everywhere you read of a slave and a slave master in the past, you're reading a prophetic picture of yourself and your relationship to the government of America and the white people of the world. Now, some would like to call this hate teaching. We don't have any time for that.
No time for that.
But if the truth makes you hate somebody, then your hatred is justified. Isn't that true? Now, don't tell me it's wrong to hate. Hate destroys the hater as much as the hated. That's more deceit. God hates the wicked. His hatred of the wicked don't destroy God. So the coming of God is to a specific people, to accomplish a specific purpose. Respite me till the day when they are raised. You have been taught all your life that in the day of judgment, a trumpet would be blown, and the dead would rise from their graves. What kind of trumpet could be blown to wake up the people that are in the cemetery today, brother? I want you to use your common natural sense. There was some troops on a troop ship, and they went out to sea, and a submarine blasted the ship with the troops on it, and the troops fell in the sea and died. Along came some small fish that began feeding on the troops that were on the ship that got blasted by the submarine. Then some big fish came along and ate the small fish that ate the troops that was on the troop ship that got blasted by the submarine. And the deep sea fishermen went out in the ocean and caught him some of those big fish that ate the little fish, that ate the troops that was on the ship that got blasted by the submarine. And then you came along and bought a pound or two of the big fish that ate the little fish, that ate the troops that was on the ship that got blasted by the submarine. Now look, man, tell me where them troops coming from on the resurrection day? They're coming out of you? They're coming out of the fish? They're coming out of the water? Hell no. Your body came from the earth, And it's only a matter of time before you return to the earth. The resurrection of the dead is not talking about people in physical cemeteries. Get that out of your head.
Wake your dumb ass up.
Nobody that ever died have ever come back and told you how sweet it was on the other side. And if it really was that sweet, why are you crying so much? Mama gone to a better place. Let me hurry up and go there too. You're going to try to stay here as long as you can, because it was a long time before you got here, and when you go, it'll be a hell of a long time, and we'll never see you again. Unless you can leave something behind you. Well, wait a minute, Farrakhan. The Holy Quran talks about the hereafter. Yes, it does. Shall we be raised again to life when we have become bones? Holy Quran said yes. The question you got to ask is, what does it mean? You say it means exactly what it says. Prove it. You can't prove it. I can prove that those that died don't come back. You prove that they do. That's your belief. You don't have any knowledge of it. Here the enemy has deceived you. Made you put your hope in a heaven in the sky, while he worked you to death building a heaven for himself on the earth.
You better tell the truth.
If you don't get your heaven right here now, you can forget it somewhere else. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us reality. The thoughts and ideas of people live long after they're gone. The works of people live, if they're good works, long after they're gone. Those that built the pyramids, they're gone. The pyramids remain for us to study and grow from the wisdom of those that once were but no longer are.
All
so
right,
the coming of Allah, God, Mahdi, Messiah, the presence of God in the world, is to produce what is called the resurrection of the dead. How? What you mean, resurrection of the dead? The Holy Quran says they have eyes,
but they can't see.
But they can't see. They have ears,
But they can't hear.
But they can't hear. They have a tongue, but they can't speak. Blind, deaf, and dumb. The Bible says the same thing. When you got eyes but you can't see, when you got ears but you can't hear, when you have a tongue but you can't speak, you are considered mentally, spiritually dead, in need of resurrection.
I have been trying to tell you, brothers and sisters, that Americans and people in the West are considered malware because they do not know the truth about anything, because they were taught what the white man told them to teach in the institutions. That was passed as law and teach lies. So they had to teach what was told for them to teach. Okay? And so they taught you what they call his story. And then we say history, but it's his story, the white man's story. They put that in us, which is a bunch of damn lies, so that they could make themselves God over us. All right? But that's not the way that is supposed to be. So wake your damn ass up and listen to somebody sometime, because you sure don't know everything, and I don't either. But we're going to learn. For those who can shut up long enough to learn, to listen. and not try to control everybody and tell them what it is when they don't even know the truth about nothing.
Is to produce what is called the resurrection of the dead. How? What you mean, resurrection of the dead? The Holy Quran says they have eyes, but they can't see. They have ears, but they can't hear. They have a tongue, but they can't speak. Blind, deaf, and dumb. The Bible says the same thing. When you got eyes, but you can't see. When you got ears, but you can't hear. When you have a tongue, but you can't speak, you are considered mentally, spiritually dead, in need of resurrection. Resurrection means to rise up again. Something that was up is now down and must be raised up again. Your people were once masters of the earth. If you study any African history, you know that when the Caucasian was walking around in the hills and cave sides of Europe on his all fours, Africans had built civilization. Civilization did not begin in Europe, in Greece, or in Rome. It began in Africa, and it was Africans that brought wisdom to Greece. Check it out. But look at you now. You are the children of the builders of the pyramids. What have you built lately? You are the children of the great master builders, architects of the universe. Oh, come on, Farrakhan. How could Allah make man vicegerent? We stand in the place of Allah. If you are able to stand in the place of God, then you must be able to master the laws that govern what Allah created. Otherwise, you are unfit to stand in His place. Woo! The man that Allah made in the Quran called Adam, He asked the angels to bow down to Adam. Some of the scholars say the angels mean the forces of nature. Well, all right then. We'll take your scholarship.
Well, whatever
if angels here mean the forces of nature, and if they were made to bow down and become subservient to the man that God made, that means that that man that God made had power to control those forces.
Exactly.
You once had knowledge like that.
What happened?
You don't have that knowledge today.
You showed up.
Why? Because you are dead. A dead man does not have what he had when he was alive. Go to any dead man. I don't care how great he was. I used to love Billy Eckstine, Sarah Vaughan. We are old timers, you know. And some of you rappers, you love Tupac. You love Biggie. Well, now you go to the grave. See if Biggie and Tupac can write any rap for you. Best thing you can do is study their rap and rap on till your end comes. But no dead man can do what he once did when he was alive. You are not able to do what you did when you were a living people, because the enemy's world and the enemy's technology has put the black man so fast asleep till he's looked upon by the prophets as being a dead human being. Dead mentally, dead morally, dead spiritually. And God said He would raise one from the dead. and send that one to raise the others from the dead. You that are masons and shriners, you already understand that. Hiram was a master architect, but he got hit in the head. You are a master builder, but you got hit in the head by some ruffians. And they took you on a westerly course and buried you in the north country in a shallow grave. That's masonry. All Masonic secrets are built on you and what happened to you. That's why you've integrated everything else except the white Shriners and the white Masons. You're going to stay segregated because the secret of it all is you. And once you wake up to who you are, who they are, who God is, what time it is, then they can never rule you again.
Did he preach? Man, he preached. Now that's the real truth right there. That is the truth. Dr. Shalid Bolson.
It's well known. It's a well-known issue that African Americans, black people in America, so-called, don't know their history, that they're cut off from the history of Africa, and even the history of everything that they did and everything that was done to them in America. That's why you have Black History Month, right? So this is something that everyone knows about. Everyone is aware of this issue. But the truth is that so-called white people don't know their history either. Their history in America or their history in Europe. Americans generally don't know history, which is incredibly useful when you consider the fact that history repeats itself. It's incredibly useful to keep the entire population in a state of amnesia, so that the whole country operates like the main character in that film Memento, you know? So you keep doing the same things that you've always done, and you never understand that you're actually doing the things that history has already judged to be crimes. You understand? You can do it as if there's no context, as if there's no history, as if there's no pattern. That's the whole point of approaching current events from an ahistorical perspective. You don't want anyone to see the pattern. You want to be able to do things that have already been condemned by history, but you want to keep doing them anyway, as if you don't know that they're contemptible. You don't know that they are condemned actions. Just like Donald Trump now invoking the Alien Enemies Act in reference to mass deportations and so on. Okay, this is the same act that put tens of thousands of Japanese Americans into internment camps in World War II, and for which the United States government eventually had to provide compensation and eventually had to even apologize for doing it. You see, it is something completely contemptible that you did, but you want to repeat it. So you forget your history. You forget history so you can repeat history without blame. Both so-called white people and so-called black people in America don't know their history. Both have been told lies about the past, about their respective pasts. And the only reason for that is for the purpose of maintaining the continuity of the contemptible reality of how that society operates. Amnesia and fictional histories serve as a preventative measure against change, against reform, against rehabilitation. America chooses to live like it's in the movie Groundhog Day. You know, you pretend that only today exists over and over and over again. And because of this forced amnesia, because of this deliberate suppression of historical awareness, the people in America don't even recognize when they're reliving their own past. They think that they're facing something new. They think that they're responding to some unprecedented crisis every time. If you have no recollection where the road leads that you're on, then you'll keep walking it again and again, never realizing that it has already led you into disaster after disaster, dozens of times before. And this is exactly the condition that the rulers in America want, that the elite of America want, not just for black people, not just for so-called white people, but for everyone. Because the most effective way to ensure that a crime continues is to make sure that it is never recognized as a crime, to make sure that every time you commit that crime, it feels like the first time. You know? So when Trump talks about invoking the Alien Enemies Act, most Americans don't hear the echoes of history from that. They don't hear the voices of the Japanese Americans who were dragged from their homes and put behind barbed wire for years and years. They don't remember that that country had to apologize for doing exactly what they're about to do again. The American mind resets every morning, and that's the perfect condition for those in power. Because if people really understood history, then they would recognize that nothing about the American system is accidental. Every aspect of it, from its racial hierarchies to its economic disparities to its unjust foreign policies, is simply the continuation of an old script, a script that has played out again and again, always leading to oppression, always leading to exploitation, always leading to war, always leading to misery. And this is why in America, history isn't taught. Fiction is taught, legends are taught, myths are taught, but not history. Because real history would be dangerous. Real history would break the illusion and potentially break the cycle. So-called white people in America know a version of history. They know a story. They know a narrative that has been carefully crafted to shape how they see themselves, how they see their ancestors, how they see their nations and their place in the world, and how they see everyone else. And this ignorance, this deliberate miseducation that they have imposed upon their own people allows the same crimes to continue. What most white people in America and Europe believe about their history is not history at all. It's mythology, designed to produce a specific kind of person, a person who does not feel guilty, a person who does not feel accountable, a person who does not feel responsible for ever changing anything because they don't think they're doing anything wrong. They're taught that their ancestors were pioneers, their ancestors were explorers and builders of civilization, that they've brought progress and democracy and enlightenment to the world. They hear about the Renaissance, they hear about the Industrial Revolution, they hear about the Age of Discovery, and so forth and so on. And not about enslavement, not about genocide, not about the theft, not about the destruction that their people are responsible for. They're not taught that their prosperity was built on unimaginable suffering. They're not taught that their systems of government, their financial empires, their very sense of national identity are all rooted in exploitation. They don't know about the crimes. They don't know the real legacy of their people. And so they don't change. They don't have to change because they don't even realize what they need to correct. You know, when we look at colonialism, for example, the history that's taught in Western schools is usually an abstraction. Colonization is framed as something that it just sort of happened a long time ago, you know, something that was maybe unfortunate, but it was inevitable, and it ultimately it represented progress, and there were many beneficial things to come from it. Never mind the millions of Africans who died in the Congo Free State under King Leopold. Most white Americans have never heard of them. Never mind the Bengal famine of 1943 when millions of Indians starved to death due to British policies. They don't even know about it. The fact that the American police forces evolved from slave patrols, they don't know about that either. And they're not any more informed about the ongoing crimes, like the pillage of African resources today, the economic neocolonialism that keeps entire regions of the world impoverished, the exploitation of labor in the global South. These aren't relics of history. That's the present day reality of what your people are doing. But the story that white people are told does not include those realities, or else it packages those realities deceitfully and dishonestly. They packaged them dishonestly and deceitfully in the past just like they do now. The irony is that when they're confronted with the truth, many of these people will react defensively, you know. I didn't do that. That was in the past. Why should I feel guilty? But this reaction in and of itself reveals how little they're really understanding. It's not about guilt. It's about responsibility.
That's right. You have to accept the responsibility of your people. What does the Bible say about the sins you commit go down to your lineage, 4 generations? That's right.
You know, if a person inherits a stolen house, they may not have stolen it themselves, but they still live in it. And if they refuse to acknowledge where that house came from or how it came into their possession, if they insist that that house is rightfully theirs because the crime happened a long time ago, well, then they're complicit because the theft is ongoing.
Exactly.
The crime never really stops.
Exactly. It don't stop.
So when people don't know their history, they cannot recognize when history is repeating itself and when history is actually just a continuum into the present. This is why so-called white people in America can watch their government arm and support genocide in Gaza, bomb Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and so on, and actually believe when they say it's for the purpose of security. They don't see the colonial mindset at work. That's why they can see corporations, for example, Western corporations, strip mine Africa for resources and not connect that to the centuries of plunder that came before. This is why they can hear about mass incarceration, about police brutality and systemic racism in the United States, and not understand that these are not new problems. These are just new forms of an old system. These are new manifestations of the same system. And this is why they don't resist, why they don't challenge the structures that continue to exploit and continue to oppress. Because they don't even recognize those systems as continuations of the age-old exploitation and oppression. The truth is, white people have been colonized too. Not physically, not economically, but psychologically. They've been conditioned to believe in a history that never happened. A history where they were always the heroes. And not understand that these are not new problems. These are just new forms of an old system. These are new manifestations of the same system. And this is why they don't resist, why they don't challenge the structures that continue to exploit and continue to oppress. Because they don't even recognize those systems as continuations of the age-old exploitation and oppression. The truth is, white people have been colonized too. Not physically, not economically, but psychologically. They've been conditioned to believe in a history that never happened. A history where they were always the heroes. A history where they were never the villains, and where their victims were villains. And as long as they live inside that fiction, well, they'll continue to perpetuate the same crimes of their past. Not physically, not economically, but psychologically. Not physically, not economically, but psychologically. They've been conditioned to believe in a history that never happened. They've been conditioned to believe in a history that never happened. They've been conditioned to believe in a history that never happened. They've been conditioned to believe in a history that never happened. And as long as they live inside that fiction, well, they'll continue to perpetuate the same crimes of their past. And as long as they live inside that fiction, well, they'll continue to perpetuate the same crimes of their past, and where their victims were villains. And as long as they live inside that fiction, well, they'll continue to perpetuate the same crimes of their past. They've been conditioned to believe in a history that never happened. They've been conditioned to believe in a history that never happened. Not physically, not economically, but psychologically. They've been conditioned to believe in a history that never happened.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could eradicate hate and man could see, to compromise and come together on things they just don't see eye to eye on and make it work? Wouldn't that be wonderful if we could have this love, this peace, instead of all this chaos and division and disorder? Oh, wouldn't that be so wonderful if we could break bread together? Here's an instrumental. Let us break bread together on our knees. Be blessed.
into mouths. Just people, don't listen to these fools that get on here. Harry, thank you for your show. We're going to tackle this thing once and for all. I promise you.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you. 222-9224.
About stuff. The last caller, he just kept on saying he didn't care about anything. He don't care about this. He don't care about that. But why does he bother call and talk about something if he don't care about nothing? I care about a whole lot of stuff. I care how my little towns run.
I do too.
I care how my government's run.
I do too.
I care how
I got some in there.
chases squirrels
Should have watched
and gets out in the road. And I do what I can for all of it.
Yeah, I think what he was saying was that there are some things that he thinks are important and some things that are not important. He says the park doesn't seem to be as important as some of the other things that people are ignoring. So it was just what is important and what isn't important is what, he cares about the things that are more important. And that's the way everybody is. You care about the things that are important to you. I care about the things that are important to me. He cares about the things that are important to him. I think that's what he was trying to say.
Well, he come across a little muddled to me, then, okay? So it ain't hard when you listen to me to find what I like and what I don't like. I don't like politicians that lie to me. I don't like politicians that think they can put their snout as the big old hog that they all are in the government feeding trough, which is full to the brim with my poor little pitiful tax dollars. I care about that. I care where every dollar goes. And let's see if I can get the word right. Southern SP something. They found out that they've been funding a bunch of these terrorist
you're talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now remember, everybody's always innocent until they're proven guilty. But what they've been charged with is there wasn't enough white supremacy going on for them to point it out. So they paid some people. This is what they're charged with. They paid people to go out and commit, white supremacy, so that they could say that, see, these people are white supremacists, when actually they were the ones that paid them to be that way. There's so little of that going around that it's hard to find videos of it and that sort of thing. So the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is out of Alabama, they paid people to create this stuff. It's like, it's like there's a whole book about people who say they were discriminated against, and they have found out that no, it wasn't true. They made it up. Now, there's plenty of discrimination to go around. You don't have to make it up. But what the Southern Poverty Law Center, they said that they were a nonprofit organization and that they were not going to raise much money past $33 million in their endowment. Now they have close to $1 billion in their endowment. They said they weren't going to raise any more money. They kept raising money. And one of the things they spend their money on, this is what they're being accused of now. They are innocent until they're proven guilty, but they have been they've been charged with this. We'll see what happens in court.
Yeah, it's different. One thing is about talking about, well, you think something's been done. Mm-hmm. But when the government charges you, that's a whole nother bailiwick than the other.
Well, no, you're still innocent until the government, whether it's the state, local, or federal, the government proves you guilty. And I'm a person that believes in absolute innocence until you are proven guilty. That's our system, and we need to go along with that. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been charged with something. They haven't been convicted yet.
Well, they were talking last night about if they are convicted, that a lot of these rich donors that gave $1 million here and $1 million there, thinking that they were fighting for the cause of justice, and now we find out they're funding terrorists if the charges are true. But you know, in my book, if you charge somebody, you better have enough facts to make it stick. And if don't, you can be sued for slander.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, the government took it to a grand jury, and the grand jury, this is a group of people, of regular people like you and me that are there. They were convinced. Now, there's this old saying that a prosecutor can convict a ham sandwich with a grand jury because the rules and regulations, don't have anybody to come along and say, wait a minute, that's not true, and that's the way that worked. But now we go to court. It's been put into the grand jury has come back with a true bill of indictment. They have been indicted. They're being charged, and now they're going to go to court. We'll see what happens in court.
Well,
it'll be 2 years.
About Ocasio-Cortez, and all of a sudden, all the millions of dollars that she's supposed to have accumulated in the years she's been in Congress with her husband, and they're about to charge her, aren't they?
I have no idea about whether they're going to charge her. I would think not, because all that stuff is, it's not against the law to be poor, and she was a bartender when she ran for Congress. It was very unlikely that she was going to win. Her campaign was underfunded, and all of a sudden she came through with a campaign that resonated with the people in her district in New York, and she won. She beat a congressman that had been there forever, was legendary, and he just didn't campaign very much, and she beat him. Now she's up there, and all of a sudden she's not poor anymore. That's what happens to Congress. Now, how do they come up with this money? There's lots of different ways for congressmen to end up being rich when they were poor that are not illegal. So we'll see. They have been charging people lately. There have been Democrats and Republicans that have been expelled from Congress because of wrongdoing. We'll see what happens. I don't think, it's my opinion, you asked me, Ocasio-Cortez is not going to be drummed out of Congress.
Well, I want a little justice. No, I don't want a little justice.
Mm-hmm.
I want a whole lot of justice. I want to see some of these people go to jail. I mean, didn't they get a congressman and his wife last year? They found gold and
mm-hmm.
bundles of money.
Mm-hmm.
They got him, didn't they?
They did. Mm-hmm.
They charged both of him and his wife.
Now, I don't know whether they charged his wife. I know that they charged him, and he resigned and actually was convicted, and whether he ends up serving his whole time, he's appealing his conviction.
Let's have a little justice. Justice for us poor people, okay?
Well,
ain't that a good slogan? Justice for poor people.
I'm all for justice. I don't want the wrong justice out there. A lot of times people want to push people that they don't like because they had. See, that's what's going on with politics today. I don't like that guy, so I'm going to try to convict him of something. I don't like Ocasio-Cortez, so we're going to try to convict her of something. That's just, I think that's the dumbest thing in the world. Look, if you disagree with a politician, disagree with them. Don't try to put them in jail.
Yeah, but I'm tired of politicians hollering, oh no, it's a frame up, it's all this other stuff. It's like, when they had the Black Lives rallies here in town, and then we find out a year or two later that all the head dogs of Black Lives Matter have bought multi-million-dollar homes. Some of them even bought several multi-million-dollar homes.
Yeah, the guy that you were talking about, Bob Menendez, and his wife, he was charged and put on trial, and he was sentenced to 11 years in prison. Now, whether he serves those 11, I mean, there are lots of people that have been, put on trial. Some of them have been, pardoned by presidents. It's amazing the things that go on. But you're always saying that you want justice, and I understand that. Well, there is justice. People do go to jail. I mean, they really do. And sometimes congressmen are the ones that go to jail. You know, the thing, one of the problems, and I think this is a problem, let's say Congress wants to pursue wrongdoing against someone that's in Congress. Once that person resigns from Congress and they don't pursue it anymore, and then try to keep the evidence that they have away from the people who could charge them. So what Congress wants to do, this is what they want to do. Democrats want to do it. Republicans want to do it. If you'll go ahead and resign, we won't give this information over to anybody, and you can just go home and that'll be it. And there are a lot of people that don't like that.
We've got a slush fund up there that pays off a lot of these women. They were talking about that on the news.
They do have a slush fund up there. They don't like to call it that. When you say to them, when you get them in a committee hearing and say there's a slush fund, they say no, it's not a slush. Don't call slush fund. Wants to make you think it's a bad thing, and the congressmen don't think it's a bad thing. It's they believe that people charge congressmen with things that they really didn't do. And what they do is they say, well, will you stop charging these people with something they didn't do if we give you some money? And they take money out of that. That sounds like a slush fund to me. They just don't like to call it that. So a lot of people in Congress get away with stuff that may or may not be illegal. You don't know because it never goes to trial. They just pay people off so it doesn't go to trial. And we don't know whether it turns out to be a good thing or a bad thing. And I think that slush fund, which is taxpayers' money, should go away. And you should face the music just like you and I would have to do.
I think the insider trader ought to go away, too.
Oh, absolutely. It did. They voted it out, but then they let it back in. That's the way Congress works. They have some crooked folks up there. Listen, I appreciate it. You appreciate take care. Take care.
Now it's go rub the cat's head.
All right. 2229224. There.
All the information.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never trusted them.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really well. You know, they took an organization. This has been some years ago here in Alamance County and called them a hate group, and they had nothing to do with hate. It just beats anything I've ever seen. And now we know what they were doing. They were having a hard time. You know, remember Jesse Smollett? He wanted to come up with something.
Oh, yeah.
He got these people to go at. He created a situation that turned out to be totally and completely made up. That's the kind of things that the Southern Poverty Law Center is being accused of. They couldn't find enough white supremacy or enough hate, so they had to pay people.
Started paying both sides.
They paid people to come up with this stuff so they can say. And see, what it was, they didn't have enough of it to get money, so they said, okay, we'll give you $1 million to go out there and create this. And then when they go out and create it, do a good job, they say, see? Look at all that hate. Well, send us some money. And the reason that now they're going to have to defend themselves in court because
the funny thing is the Southern Poverty Law Center, when you say law, you know what lawyers are good for. Creating problems so they have something to solve so they can make more money. And that's what this organization was doing. I mean, you guys, they were on Alamance County Sheriff's Department like a dog. I mean, they really have hurt, in our county as far as immigration is concerned, because, they're the ones that got involved in this mess with the profiling and all that stuff, and, got their eyeballs on Alamance County, and of course, our county government, they can't afford to turn around and get sued every week. And, that affects the law enforcement, and, when you're thinking about these organizations that basically are looking over your shoulder at all times to try to find something to go raise money on, or find some situation. I mean, this organization is basically trying to start a civil war in this country. I mean, that's what they did. They basically tried to start a civil war.
I have a little different take on that. I don't think they were trying to start a war. I think what they were trying to do is get rich. And the people that run the Southern Poverty Law Center got rich. They said, we're a nonprofit organization. We're not going to raise more in our endowment than $33 million. Now they have almost $1 billion in their treasury. After they said they were going to not raise any more money, once they got this amount, then it went to this amount, then it went to that amount. They are, what the sad thing about that is they're talking about trying to fight hate. Well, I think in the original beginning of the Southern Poverty Law Center, they really may have tried to fight that off, but now it's just about the people that are there getting rich. That's all it's about.
Yeah. I mean, you're out here creating hate.
Right.
You know,
and the reason, and why are they creating hate? There's not enough hate out there, so what they have to do is create it so that they can say, see, there's some hate, give me some more money.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like Charlottesville. They were talking about that. I mean, they had people, you know, dressed up as KKK and paid them. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. Correct. I mean, you know, look how many times did we heard about Charlottesville? I mean, 1,000,000 times. I mean, you know, Trump was, you know, made the comment there were some good people on both sides. Well, now he knows that some of both sides were being paid by somebody. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is ridiculous. I've never seen such a crazy thing in my life. It's like, let's create a problem so we have something to solve, so people give us money to say, so we can say we solved it. I mean, this is, but I'm not, you know, George Soros does the same thing. You know, I mean, this is an attack on our country. You know, I mean, I don't know, Charlie Kirk, maybe, you know, how much influence did they have over him being killed? You don't know. I mean, you know, it's just, and this is not the only organization that's doing this kind of thing. And it just, you know, we talk about this sometimes, they're just a small group, but it's not just a small group. When you see a whole state do what Virginia just did, to change basically the representation of almost 3/4 of the state has no representation now. Yeah, all the representations in Northern Virginia.
Well, they got to get through the courts. I mean, they had a court ruling the next day that said that they couldn't do it.
I mean, King Jeffrey stood up there say, all right, come on, Republicans, said, we'll go to Florida next. Mm-hmm. We'll go here next. We'll go there. And you're the ones that preaching about democracy.
I mean, good luck with Florida. I mean, good. You know, Texas was the one that started all this. They changed their. They did mid-century, you know, mid-decade changes, and that then California said they were going to do it. Well, California's already doing it. The California, that was not a good threat, because that's what California does anyway. You know, and Virginia said we can do it, and they proved that they could. They spent, you know, they outspent the people on the other side. You know, it was just a. And did you know the thing that they said when you voted yes, you know, you were voting for what did it say in Virginia? Fairness. Don't you want this to be fair? So vote yes. Tell me that gerrymandering so that it'll be 10 Democrats to 1 Republican. Tell me that's fair. That isn't fair. And they say, okay, they admit maybe it's not fair, but we're doing it to overset what they did down in Texas, which wasn't fair. Well, the people in Virginia voted for something that that's not what Texas was doing. Texas did an entirely different thing, not that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they just deceived. I mean, that's what's going to come out in court. I mean, these ads they ran. I mean, that Republicans spent like $18 million and they spent $63 million. Mm-hmm. You know, they just threw all money at it like crazy and put up all kinds of false advertising and, you know, basically misled people. It's kind of like sales tax here in Alamance County. You know, if you talk about something being great for so long, you know, eventually some people are going to go along with you. And, you know, to say...
Well, but they voted on that one 4 times, and the people at Alamance County said no 4 times.
They're trying to get away from getting out of voting, and they're trying to get the legislators to let them do it without a vote. And, you know...
Well, that's the only way they're going to get it. If you want the 1/4-cent sales tax in Alamance County, the way you're going to get it is to do it without a vote. Because the people have voted 4 times no. We don't want to do that. What part of no?
Any group of people that tries that kind of crap, they need to be voted out of office. I mean, they need to be voted out. I don't care whether they're Republican or Democrat or whoever else. I mean, you take the voice away from the people. Yeah, I mean, Charlotte, there's a penny created billions of dollars in Charlotte. And you know what they're going to do with it? It's going to get wasted. It's going to be, they're talking about all this transit deal and, you know, another link transit kind of thing. You know, folks, don't ever vote. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, never vote yourself a tax increase. That just doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense to me that they keep bringing it up for a vote. I can't imagine. You know, I wish that the legislature had said, okay, we're going to allow you to have a vote on a 1/4-cent sales tax, but if they vote it down, you know, the first time you can bring it back up.
Wait so long before you can bring it up again.
You can bring it back up in 2 years, and then they bring it back up in 2 years. If they vote it down again, you can't bring it up again for 10 years or whatever. There needs to be something there. All right, listen.
We're getting rammed down our throat every year.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I mean, come on, you just sell it. I mean, buckets is going to be there.
Well, to me, I've always said the same thing. What part of no don't you understand? You know, they said no 4 times. Come on, let's. Well, they didn't understand it. Yes, they did. What don't you think they didn't understand? We're going to raise taxes 1/4 cent. No, we're not. The answer to that question 4 times has been no, so don't do it again.
Well, you're so dumb. We're so dumb now. We got to go to the legislature and try to get them a little faster without you voting on because you're not smart enough.
All right, appreciate it. Listen, thanks. Well, I think the people in Alamance County are very smart. They're very smart. They understand. You know, people keep saying the people that want you to put it on the ballot again. The second time and the third time and the fourth time when they said no. They said they didn't understand, you know. No, they did understand. They understood exactly what was going on. Exactly. And they're not, they don't want it. So that's the way it is. All right, 222-9224. Let me tell you about the tire center.
I don't know. He just goes off on it. I don't know. He just sounds mad and talking about DEI and all this stuff. I doubt if he can give me a correct definition of DEI. And since he's talking about if people shouldn't be receiving any type of help or anything, he needs to talk to J.D. Vance because his family survived off of welfare. There's nothing wrong with people getting their hand up when they can't do better for themselves. J.D. Vance became the United States Vice President. What would it be if he would have been left to drugs and not being able to eat? You're going to feed yourself. You're going to break the law and feed yourself. I know I would. And anybody on this station say they would not is lying, because self-preservation is the first rule. And I think the word he was looking for was charismatic, because he couldn't get it right. So I think that was the first word that he was listening to was charismatic. So that's the first thing. But then the other thing that y'all was talking about the South Carolina Law Center, my thing is that it's doing exactly what the FBI has done for many years, planted a paid informant. Now, I'm not understanding on what law you guys are saying has been broken, because from what I understand of it, and again, to be honest with you, I haven't looked really hard into it, but from what I understand of it, is that they paid individuals to infiltrate organizations that they thought were racist. That's how they brought down the KKK. So listening to attorneys discuss it, they said the DOJ has a very paper thin case. May not be. We'll see. But as far as somebody collecting more money for an endowment, and they said they was going to only collect that, if somebody's going to give me $10 over to what I asked for, you're going to take it. Especially if you feel like the work that you're doing is good work, you're going to need that money for those things. Now, moving on to something else, I'm so glad finally that some people in the country, and they're not all Democrats, are moving toward anti-Israel. They see what Israel is doing. John Kennedy, for those who want to know a little history lesson, John Kennedy told Israel, spoke with Israel and said, you cannot decide how to run that region by yourself. It needs to be other people involved. And he was talking about, of course, the Muslims. We know what happened to John Kennedy. Charlie Kirk, right before, who I'm not a fan of at all, but right before he was killed, he talked about Israel and the questions about why did it take all day, over 12 hours, for Israel to respond to the attack by the militants that attacked their country. And why is it that it's never been brought out, it's here lately, that the biggest thug in the Middle East is not the Ayatollah, it's Netanyahu, who in a lot of Israeli people opinion got Yitzhak Rabin's killed because he wanted a two-state solution. Netanyahu found out that he had an idiot in the White House who had an idiot son-in-law who was Jewish, and his golfing buddy was Jewish, and he got exactly what he wanted. And for the American people to know this is that we send over $18 billion a year to Israel. The Israelis have free health care, free education. While our kids go into debt trying to get an education. While there have been people kicked off of health care here in the United States, we paying for health care in Israel for everybody. Now, how much sense does that make? Now, you keep saying something about the people can, rise up and change things. And I can tell you, unless it's around election day, they cannot. Because once they're tied in, the people are elected, are tied in, that's it. Because the American people disengage themselves. They disengage themselves. Because what happens is they become partisan. We hear it every day on this show. Partisan, partisan, partisan. We heard one guy talk about people come from up north, or Democrats to get on the board. Are Democrats and people up north, are they our enemies? Is our enemy a Democrat? Is our enemy that lives up north? He talks like he's like in 1861. And that shows the ignorance. And then we hear, that the Democrats can be Antichrist. And all of these other things, it's like we're making our own people, our own neighbors, enemies, unless they look, think, act, and vote like us. That's where the downfall of this country is going to come from. And we have people that, Senator Mitch McConnell, has been elected time and time again, can't even walk to the car by itself. You had another congressman that 80 years old, people cannot even understand what he said unless they read the transcript, because he's 80, he's not making any sense when he's talking, and so he decided to run again, and guess what? He just died. But if he would have ran, he would have won, because the people are disengaged. They vote for things that they know. And then we have people always talking about monies and things like this, and how did OC, whatever her name is, get $2 or $3 million? Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene entered Washington around worth about $100,000. She left worth $30. Mark Muller, the new the health director, he came in worth $3 million, and now he's worth $70 million. Just so happened he bought Chevron stock right before we invaded Venezuela, and he's on the Armed Service Committee. Is that a coincidence or not? But we don't hear
absolutely not.
Because those are Republicans.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. Yeah. We hear about that all the time. That's wrong. All that's wrong, Michael. And people talk about that all the time. Some on this program, some not. You just pointed out something that's absolutely 100% true. And we were just talking about that thing. It wasn't Democrats or Republicans. Congressmen, senators, they come in, relatively poor, and all of a sudden they get rich. And that's not necessarily wrong. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. We just need to find out about it. Absolutely. And
well, let me say this last thing. I know I'm running out of time.
All right.
What happened in Virginia, even though it's quote unquote for the benefit of the Democrats, that's not a good thing. Mm-hmm. It's not a good thing when Texas started it. It's not a good thing when California did it. It's not a good thing because what we're doing is we're taking away, we're making a mockery of democracy.
Yeah, gerrymandering is wrong, no matter who does it. It's wrong, and the Constitution doesn't like it. The Supreme Court doesn't like it. Gerrymandering is wrong, and that's what's going on right now. And I don't like it in Texas, and I don't like it in Virginia either.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, it is. All right, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. 222-9224, 222-9224. And I want to mention this. This. I was hoping that somebody would bring up these kinds of things. One of the people. I think that Democrats and Republicans need to understand that there are people out there that are Democrats and Republicans that can come up with things that you agree with or don't agree with, even though, and you can have a conversation with them. I think that's what's going on with Fetterman. I think Governor Shapiro is one of those people. Alan Dershowitz, he had been a Democrat all his life. Now he says he's going to change to Republican, but he hasn't changed his feelings about things that are progressive. He believes in many progressive things, but I think Alan Dershowitz looks at what's right and what's wrong and says we need to do what's right. I think that there's another person that I've mentioned to you many times that I think is one of those people. I've said, who do you trust? John Solomon. John Solomon is one of those people. He was talking about what Michael was just talking about, the Southern Poverty Law Center. And he is now has his own channel on the internet and does things. He used to be a progressive liberal. Now he's more of a libertarian. And John Solomon said about the Southern Poverty Law Center that he did a story about it before he was on the internet, and he believed in the Southern Poverty Law Center, and now he is seeing what they are being accused of, and what they're being accused of. What they're, he said informants, what Michael just said, informants. That's not, that's one of the things that one of the ways that you can put it. But what they're being accused of is, in order to raise more money for the Southern Poverty Law Center to fight what they call, they want to fight hate. That's their big deal. This is a hate group. And they point out where the hate groups are and who the hate groups are. And they want to fight those organizations with the money that they've raised that is in there, that they have. And they have almost $1 billion in their endowment. And in the endowment, what they do is they live off the interest of the endowment. And the higher the endowment, the more money they have. But what they're accused of doing by a grand jury in a federal prosecutor in Alabama, they are being accused of saying that to these organizations, to these people that they're paying, there's not enough visible white supremacy out there, so we need you to create some white supremacy so we can say, look, there's white supremacy, give us more money. So they give these white supremacy organizations money or people money to create white supremacy so they can say, look, there it is. They couldn't find enough to get enough money to create more in their endowment, so they're paying people to create white supremacy and hate, so that's what they're accused of. Now, they're going to go to court. They're innocent until they're proven guilty. As I said earlier today, they're innocent until they're proven guilty, but we're going to go to court and we're going to find out. We're going to get the evidence. We're going to see if they are convicted of what they are accused of. That's the way the system works. They're innocent until they're convicted. Now, what is going to be the punishment if they are convicted? Well, they're going to be fined, and they'll have to take some of that almost $1 billion, between $750 and $850 million, so almost $1 billion. They would have to pay a fine through that. Well, one of the people, this is a story in Real Clear Politics, Lanny Davis, he's one of the ones that was with that's a liberal that I really like. I think he speaks truth. If the liberals are doing it and it's wrong, he says so. If the conservatives are doing it and it's right, he says so, and vice versa. And
can you hear me?
yes, sir, I'm right here.
Okay. Seems to me it seems to me it's all about the money. Anything that's happened, it's all about the money. I listened to a cat man said, here is the Black Lives Matter people. These are the Black Lives Matter people. He said he got houses, cars. He mentioned that often, and I've never heard him mention white people have more than one house, more than one car, and I wonder why he's jealous about that. I mean, to me, there's a lot of jealousy going on. They're concerned about how much money Cortez had. Why is that anybody's business? And she's not in his district. But look, this same guy knows. He said he had a friend that was getting an extra check from the government. He doesn't point that out, but that's being wrong. But he wants everybody else to go to jail, I guess. And I want to know, why is it's not against the law for people to get rich or get money. People go to school for that, so they get to know how to make some money. And I don't know why the people get all upset, especially about blacks having some money. That old boy, Mike Conrad, he said one of the most ridiculous things I ever heard. He said, Black Lives Matter wants you to worship them. Well, black people don't want nobody to worship them. All they ever wanted was the people to get the heck out of the way so they can be free citizens and exercise their rights. I don't know why he think that's being somebody want you to worship them. It's all, like I said, it's all about the money. And I get the feeling, now I heard one guy, he calls in, he talk about the trucks and the cars that the Mexicans have. It seems to me, if the government just took away all the cars and houses that blacks have and all the trucks and cars that the Mexicans have, everything would be okay. There'll be nothing to complain about. It's mostly the material things that these people are upset about. And had I heard you say it was just in Virginia, but it was something different in Texas. What did they do different in Texas?
They had a law in Texas that gave them the ability to do what they did. The law is, and it had been tested in court and was proved to be constitutional. What Virginia was doing, and that's why they're having problems with it, is because the court has ruled now for the third time that it is gerrymandering, and that's the difference between the two. The Texas thing was done so that it would be legal, so it couldn't be taken to court, and the Virginia thing, they knew they were going to have to deal with the court. That's the difference.
Well, that might be true, but the whole purpose was, and Donald Trump said it, he wanted Greg Abbott and company to change the districts, draw the districts so that they could pick up more seats for Republicans.
Absolutely, and if they do that and in an illegal way, I'm absolutely against it. Absolutely, gerrymandering is wrong, no matter what. And if that's what Texas did, if somebody, and I'm sure that the Democrats will sue them, you know, they tried to fix it so that they couldn't be sued because they took it to court first. But the thing is that if they can prove that what Texas did was gerrymandering, I'm against it. I'm against anything. I think gerrymandering is absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong.
That's not the way the Democrats want to fix it. The Democrats don't want to go to court. They want to do the same thing.
I understand. I understand that, and that's what. And you're exactly right, because that's what they're saying they're going to do. That's exactly they did exactly what they didn't. What they were saying was they don't care what the court says. We're going to do this, and then in the final analysis, if the court rules against us, they rule against us. But we're going to do this because it has to be done to fight what's being done by the Republicans in Texas.
Well, I don't think the Supreme Court would be hypocritical if they strike down what happened in Virginia and nowhere else. And now Ron DeSantis says he's going to do the same thing in Florida. It's trying to get Republicans enough representatives to hold on to the majority.
Right, and the Democrats are trying to get enough so that they can be in the majority. It's, illegal is illegal. I don't want anybody to do anything illegal. If the Democrats are illegal, fine. If the Republicans are illegal, fine. Let's just stop it.
But hey, the gerrymandering has been going on for years. I don't know why people are so upset now. It's been going. It's been done in North Carolina.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been doing. I would hazard a guess that it's been done in every single state. That doesn't make it right. It's still illegal. And I have been against it ever since the